All right, boys and girls, welcome back. Happy May Day. Okay. What do we have? 3 full weeks before exams. So, you know, it's going to take again. You got to like get yourself motivated to finish. So put your phone away. Okay. You have plenty of time to get that back out. Just first things first. You know, next year at this time you'll be just about done. But then it just really begins. So that's where the motivation should be coming from, okay? And at the same time, you know, it's always important that you enjoy your hours that you have here. So take a little time this morning to look ahead and think ahead. You know, you don't have to set a goal necessarily, but you've got to keep the future in mind. Hopefully you already have goals, so it might be a good time to revisit those. And then make sure you spend some time today enjoying the people and things that you're around right now. So this stuff is not easy, and we set off at the beginning of the year to do a better job teaching you guys Algebra 2, because it's my first year ever doing it, and I just wanted to do a great job. So we're not going to like take the days off and just finish poorly. So here we go. Okay, in order to do these, you've really got to understand really just 2 key facts. Actually, 3 key facts. 3 key facts. The first one is how to add fractions. So the answer to that is either 3/8 or 3/4. What's the answer? 3/4, okay? So that's the first thing to remember. When you're adding fractions that have common denominators, the denominator stays the same. You just add the top. Are we good on that? Okay, the second thing that we need to remember is that what's the result of that? Excellent. So remember that these parentheses in this case are really not doing anything, because parentheses are used for please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. However, everything was just being added, so there wasn't a need to combine anything first. So at that point, you just have to remember that you have to only be able to add and subtract like terms. What does it mean to be a like term? You got to have the same variable to the same power. And then the third thing you'll need to remember, and this will be probably the step that makes this the most challenging, is how to do something like that. So first of all, is this an equation? It's not an equation because it doesn't have a what? It doesn't have an equal sign. So we are simply trying to simplify. We're trying to combine these things, okay? How many terms are there? There's 2 terms being added. So what am I allowed to do to any one term? Multiply it by what? Well, I'm allowed to multiply it by 1, but I want to multiply the bottom by 5. So I have to multiply it by a fancy form of 1. I hope you understand. All I just did there was multiply that thing by 1 and made it look different. Okay? What am I going to multiply this one by? By 7/7, which is just what? 1. I want to make you say that so you understand what you're doing. You're not doing magic. You're following rules. Okay? So over here, you get 7/35. And over here, you get 15/35. Okay? And so then when you add those up, you get 22/35. And those are going to be the 3 things you need to be able to remember to succeed today. Are we ready? Okay. Just like always, we're going to do a bunch of these together. So we've got the entire left column of the first page. We are going to do these together. Here we go. So Not a whole lot of work we can do there. You do have a common denominator, so the answer is going to be something over 3m. Did you get one, Dom? Did you get a worksheet? Okay, good. So that would be a correct answer. Unfortunately, it wouldn't be 100% correct because you can simplify it. That's what we learned how to do last week. So we can divide that and that by 3, and you end up getting a -1 over m. So far, so good? Okay. So, same thing on this one. We know that the denominator is going to be 4. We just have to do t plus 2 minus t, which is just 2, right? T minus t is 0. 0 plus 2 is 2. And so we'll simplify that to a half. And hey, bless you, if any of you want to do this on a separate sheet of paper, let me give that to you, because I do think the space is kind of tight on this worksheet. So I'll give you that extra paper if you want. All right, we'll move over here for this one. Again, no problem here. You got the denominator is definitely going to be 4c plus 1. And what's 3c plus 1c plus 1? 4c plus 1. So keep a lookout for these on this worksheet. What is anything divided by itself? 1 over 1 is 1. Good. Okay, 10's the hardest one on the entire front. I think there's one more that's kind of like it. What do you notice about the denominators? Yeah, they're not the same. Okay? They're very close, are they not? So, what I'm going to choose to do is just multiply this whole thing by -1 over -1. Now, what's -1 over -1? It's 1. So am I allowed to do that? Yes, I am. Okay? So this will, I'm going to rewrite this whole expression. I'm just rewriting the left side, 3n over 2n minus 3 plus. Okay, so now I get -n on top plus 6 on top. And then on the bottom, I get -3 plus 2n. Do you see that? Now, how do the denominators relate to each other now? They're actually the same. Because are we allowed to add things in any order we want? So, -3 plus 2n is the same thing as 2n plus -3, which is the same thing as 2n minus 3. But I don't want to skip that step, so I'll go here, and I'll just rewrite it. If you guys don't want to rewrite this, I would understand that. I just don't want to confuse anybody. So all I did was rewrite the fraction on the right in a different order, and now I know that the final answer for this one is 2n plus 6 over 2n minus 3. And some of the best students in here are going to look to cancel some things on that. You cannot. Remember, you shouldn't cancel, you should factor. So if you wanted, you could factor a 2 out of the top. But is there anything you could factor out of the bottom? So then after you factored it, nothing would cancel, and that's why I'm not factoring the top. But you could, but you don't want to cancel anything. This is your final answer. Okay? Tape. Okay, good question. The question was, why did we have to multiply it by -1 over -1? For the first time in all of these, the denominators were different. However, if I just change this to a negative and change that to a positive, then they would be the same. So how do I flip the sign on something? I multiply it by -1. So since I multiplied the bottom by -1, I had to multiply the top by -1. We'll get more practice on these on the back, okay? Okay, And so finally, the last one's significantly easier. You get, what do you get? 2n minus n. You get n minus 1 over 5n plus 5. Okay? All right, go ahead and flip that over once you've gotten caught up. I wondered how we got to 8, so we just skipped some numbers. Okay, so we're just going to do a third of the back for you as well. Number 2 is an example, just like Hadi was asking about, where we actually don't have to multiply both terms by a fancy form of 1, just one of the terms. So, which term is easiest to make look like the other one? The right one. What should we multiply by the right one? Well, we're only allowed multiplying by 1. So we're going to multiply by 7 over 7. That gives us 1 over 7x plus 14 over 7x. And so the answer is 15 over 7x. And here, this is the hardest one, but honestly, this strategy always works. So I'll tell you what, I'll help you with this. Okay, so you have no idea what to do. You can always multiply by 1. And so if you don't know what to do, multiply this one by 1 and just choose this denominator. It'll always work. And multiply this one by 1 and choose this denominator. Okay? And now just go one thing at a time and do not FOIL. Because after you FOIL, you're going to have to factor. We don't want to do that anyway. So what do you get on the top of the red one? 5x plus what? Very good. Over, we're just going to write it as x plus 3 times x plus 6. Lex, you good? Talk to me. Okay, that's just the left. So now on the right, what do we get? Lex, what do we get on the right side? Just the top. Give me the top. 3 times x? 3 times 6? Very good. And now look, on the bottom, you'll get the exact same thing. So now our final answer is simply 8x plus 33, that's 15 plus 18, over x plus 3 times x plus 6. Boom!